Hello everyone, this is me Vishal again. This time I am with the new topic array and C. I will try to give you a quick revision, a quick review about this concept of array. So let's get started with our new topic. So here are the contexts that we are going to discuss here. Firstly, we will see what are arrays. In this we will see a program which is made up of array and see how it works there. Then we will see more arrays. In it we will see how we can initialize an array, then array elements in memory, bound checking, then the passing array elements into a function. In third we will see types of array. Then last the summary of this, that what we have discussed in this whole presentation. First question come here, that what are arrays? So an array is a collective name given to a group of similar quantities. These similar quantities could be all ints or all floats or all chars, etc. Usually the array of characters is called a string, whereas an array of ints or floats is called simply an array. So what does it says? What does this means that every similar quantity can be stored with the help of array. Let's say that if you want to store the data of 5 people, then we have to give the 5 variables for the 5 people. But if you use the array, then we can do this job with the use of only one variable. This becomes very handy when we try to store a large number of data or similar data. Like here is an example in which we are trying to store the marks of 30 students and then find the average of it. So if we try our conventional method, then we have to give 30 variables for the 30 students, then assign or data input of data with the help of those 30 variables. Using that, this will become so lengthy and very difficult. If we try to use our array, then that program becomes very short like that. In this we have just taken another variable which is marks 30 and entered our data in this marks variable, and also got our algorithm done and got our result with the help of the array. This makes array makes any program very short and easy to understand. The next thing comes at how an array works. In this, firstly we will see how we can declare an array. To begin with, like other variable, an array needs to be declared so that the compiler will know what kind of an array and how large an array we want. In our program we have done this with the statement int marks 30. So here int is the data type, marks is the name of array, and 30 describes it how or the size of array. Once an array is declared, individual elements in the array can be referred. This is done with the subscript. The number in the bracket following the array name, all the array elements are numbered starting with 0. So it's just saying that the number written in the subscript is the actually the size of the array. And one thing more, that the array in this array starts from the 0, which means the base address of array is 0. So eventually the size we are writing 30 here is actually the 29, which means it goes from 0 to 29. The ability to use variable to represent subscript is what makes array so useful, which means we use only one variable for storing any large number of data or any amount of data. In right side we can see how we have entered data in our marks array, marks named array. We just used our one loop, which is a for loop, and entered the marks of all 30 students with the help of array. While reading also we use our for loop and use our array marks for getting the result. And next there is how we initialize an array explanation. So far we have used array that we did not have any values in them to begin with. We managed to store value in them during the program execution. So what we have seen in the last program, that we asked user to input the data of all 30 students, but in some situation we don't have to do that. We can directly enter the data while writing the code itself. So here is some examples. In first you can see int num6, the size of an array, then provided data into it with the help of assignment operator, and data is written in the curly braces. So we can do all this also. We can store data directly into the program before the compilation also. And right side, note the following points carefully. So what is it? Till the array elements are not given any specific value, they are supposed to contain garbage value. So it says that if you do not assign any value to array, the array will automatically or itself will get some values, which is generally the garbage value. The second one is if the array is in a slice with where it is declared, mentioning the dimension of the array is optional as in the second and third. So again come to our example here. In the second example, which is int n, we have not described the size of the array. We had just given the data in the right side of it. The size is not important here. Assigning size is not important here because the array will automatically or itself will get the size into it. It will just count the number of data and write the size into it. We don't have to do that. In the third example also, we have not assigned any size into the array. We have just entered the value or two float values, and the array will itself count the number of data and put the size in under it. The next thing is how the array allocates the memory or data into its memory. So array elements in memory, when we declare an array, a space is reserved in the memory of computer of array. The elements of the array are stored in these memory location. The important thing about the array is that array elements are always stored in consecutive memory location. This arrangement of array elements are in memory is shown below. So what did it say? That the array always store the data of similar types, which means the difference between each and every data is same. Here is the table which we can see in our blue boxes. There are some values 12, 34, 66 and minus 45. They all are integer values, and this shares one thing in common, that they are stored in side by side manner, which is also known as contiguous memory location, contiguous manner, in which they are placed just side of the other value. I think you understood that. And the right side, the bound checking. So what is it? Compiler doesn't perform the bound checking on the array. Bound checking generally means the boundary checking, which means if we try to fit the more data in the smaller size of an array, then it will not work. If here is an example, we have taken the variable int num and given the size it to the 40, and in the following statement we have provided a loop which runs from 0 to 100, but which will not work because the size of num is only 40 and we are trying to store the data of 100. Then the bound checking will fail here, and our compiler might stuck there, might get, I think I should say, jam. Or the next thing is passing array elements to a function. So we can also use array with the function like any other variable we do. We generally use the two type of function calling. First one is our call by value, another is the call by reference. In the call by value, generally we can pass the as we pass the value with the help of any variable. We can do this with our array also. You can see in for loop we have passed the value of marks I, and the function, our display function, received that value in int m, and we got the output of something like that, 55, 65, 75 and so on. In our call by reference also we can use our array like that. You can see the program by itself. The output of this will be same like the output of previous program, which is on the left side. So this is the next slide, which says the types of array. So generally there are mainly two types of array. First one is one dimensional and the other is a multi-dimensional. But for the sake of understanding or for the easiness, I have divided into the one more group, which is two dimensional. So let's see. Types of array depend upon the number of dimensions of an array, the count of indices of or subscript required to access one element of an array, define the dimension of an array. Here we are going to take just a quick peek of array types. So the first type of array is one dimensional. A one-dimensional array is a structured collection of components that can be accessed individually by specifying the position of component with a single index value. So one-dimensional array requires only one subscript, and it stores all the data in one column only. So we just have to write the position of any data in this subscript, and we can just access any data placed at that address in one dimensional. The second one is our two-dimensional. A two-dimensional array is similar to a one-dimensional array, but it can be visualized as a grid with the rows and columns. So it stores data in a matrix form, you can say, or in a tabular form. Here the data received is in the two subscript and also stored in the two subscript here. The third one is a multi-dimension. A multi-dimensional array is an array with more than two dimensions. It can also be said that multi-dimensional array are the array of arrays. Here the data is stored between other, I can say, between the one dimensional, two dimensional also. So next thing is our syntax, that how we write the different types of arrays. The first thing is our one dimensional. The syntax of one dimensional is goes like, first we write the data type, then we assign the name of that array, and lastly in the one subscript we assign the size of the array. In two dimensional, the syntax of it is, first we write the data type, then the array name, then the first subscript we write the rows, and in second subscript we write the column. Third comes our multi-dimensional. Here the first we write data type, second we write array name, but the interesting thing is here that we can add as many subscripts as we want, as we need also. Here we have taken d1, d2 and dn to represent our number of choice of dimensions, you can say. So lastly, we have our summary about what we have just discussed here. So an array is similar to an array, any ordinary variable, except that it can store multiple elements of similar types, which means array is just a variable, another variable. The special thing here is that it stores more than one value of similar data type, a similar type. Second is compiler doesn't perform bound checking on an array, which means if we try to store more value in a smaller size of an array, then that will not work. Our compiler might be get stuck there. The third is the array variable act as a pointer to the zeroth element of the array. In 1D array, zeroth element is a single value, whereas in 2D array, this element is a 1D array. What does it say? It means that base address of the 1D array starts from 0, while the base address of the 2D array starts from the 1D array. It might be confusing for now, but we will understand it later. The next thing is multi-dimensional array. It is possible to construct a multi-dimensional array. A 2D array is a collection of several 1D array, while a 3D array is a collection of several 2D arrays. So I think you might guys have understood something from that. So from that note, thank you guys for listening to me. I think I have some given. I think I hope I have given some values to you for now. Thank you for giving the time. Bye bye.